Are you planning a trip to the Smokies? Whether you're staying in a cabin on a mountaintop or a hotel down on the Parkway, in an RV at the KOA, or the family tent in Elkmont, whether you enjoy walking the busy streets of Gatlinburg or a quiet trail in Greenbrier, if your idea of fun is speeding down on a mountain coaster or a vista view from a mountain summit, then this podcast is for you. I'm Chuck Schmidt, and I'm the Outsider. From moonshine to pancakes, from your wedding day to a family reunion, we're here to make your visit more enjoyable, more memorable, sharing with you more of the Smokies. So if your idea of the perfect park is Dollywood or the great Smoky Mountains themselves, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get started. But first things first, don't feed the bears. Welcome to episode number 1 of the Outsider's Guide to the Smokies. My name is Chuck Schmidt, and I am the Outsider. As I'm sure you've noticed, my voice doesn't sound quite like somebody from Eastern Tennessee, and you'd be correct. I'm not from Eastern Tennessee. Actually, I'm from outside of Chicago. However, we've been coming down to the Smoky Mountains for years as a family, and then prior to that, my father first came to the Smokies shortly after World War II when he returned. He came down here on vacation, enjoyed the area so much that 2 years later he brought my mother back here on their honeymoon, and then I was coming down here as a kid on a multitude of family vacations when I was growing up. As a matter of fact, one of the first times I came down here, Dollywood was still known as Gold Rush Junction, so that puts us all the way back into the late 60s. Now, one thing about myself, as I said, I am the outsider, and that's just because of my accent and how I've been referred to down in the area. When I told people I wanted to move in down here, they said, you're never going to fit in with that accent. You will always be the outsider. So I've kind of adopted that as my moniker. But one thing you need to know about me is that I love traveling. I love the touristy stuff. I love the roadside attractions. When I was a little kid, as I said, we used to travel as a family, so I grew up in the heart of the Sea Rock City area, when these were painted Sea Rock City on every barn or building and billboard, so on and so forth. I love things like the House of Mud Ball of Twine, world's largest golf tee, which, by the way, is located in southern Illinois along I-70. I love stuff like that. So coming to Pigeon Forge, where a lot of people say, it's too touristy, Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg, I don't like going down there, blah, 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 blah. Me, I love it. I absolutely love the area. I love the park. So the goal of my podcast is actually to give you an overview if you were coming down here as a tourist. As far as things to see, maybe things to avoid, things that'll make your trip a little bit easier. Because when you come down here, you have to remember 11 million people visit this area every single year. It is very crowded. So anything we can do to expedite your trip down here, maybe make it a little more enjoyable, that's the goal of the podcast. So the way the program is going to work is this one is just an overview of the area. Then upcoming episodes following this one, I'm going to go into a little deeper view of each one of the towns, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, and then even the towns in the surrounding areas, Cherokee, Bryson City, Dandridge, Wears Valley, so on and so forth. So you get a really good overview by the area, but you don't have to listen to every single podcast. You can just pick and choose the ones that you want. And then eventually we'll drill down a little bit deeper. We're going into the national park. And then the intent is to give you more detail as far as each one of the attractions. So again, those episodes you'll be able to pick and choose with wherever your interests fall. So first things first, coming into town, let's assume you're coming in from the north. So you're going to be coming in along I-40. You're going to exit at Winfield Dunn Parkway. Now let me stop right here. Several things you need to know. Number one, nobody calls it the Winfield Dunn Parkway except for a tourist. It is strictly called the Parkway. The next thing you need to know is something called the Spur. And the Spur is a large forested area that lies in between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. As you drive out of the hustle and bustle of Pigeon Forge heading to Gatlinburg, you're going to hit this beautiful scenic area. That's called the Spur. And then finally, you're going to hear something referred to as the bypass. And the bypass bypasses Gatlinburg from the Spur, and it goes directly to the national park. So you get to miss all that touristy stuff and the traffic that tends to clog up in Gatlinburg. So going back to the beginning, when you get off I-40 onto the parkway, if you look off to your left, you're going to see a baseball stadium. If you're a baseball fan, this is the Tennessee Smokies. This is the Double-A team for the Chicago Cubs. So if you're a Cub fan, Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Kyle Schwarber, all those players have played here for the Tennessee Smokies. So now you're going to be heading south on the Parkway, and soon you're going to enter into Sevierville. My first recommendation to you is slow down. Sevierville has a large police force, and police officers are everywhere enforcing traffic. So be careful. Don't go speeding through Sevierville. Now, some things about the three towns, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg. Sevierville is what you consider the most normal of the three. For example, it has a downtown area. It has all the big box stores. So if you're looking for Walmart, Home Depot, Hobby Lobby, something along those lines, you're going to find that in Sevierville. You won't find it in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Now, the downtown area has some really neat stuff and a really cool town square area at the corner of Bruce Street and Court Street. This is where you're going to find the Dolly Parton statue, which is a thing that a lot of people like to see. And some of the fun places to eat. Courthouse Donuts is down there. Crust and Crumb is down there. Gray's Burgers is down there. They're all down in this little area. So I would really encourage you, if you're looking for some interesting things to eat, because Courthouse Donuts is make your own donuts, and Crust and Crumb has, in my opinion, the world's greatest chocolate eclair. If you put two of those chocolate eclairs into a box, it's like picking up a bowling ball. Gray's Burgers, really cool burgers and a whiskey bar. So what more are you looking for there? But Sevierville also has its fair share of attractions. Probably the big name ones is Forbidden Caverns, Rainforest Adventures, NASCAR Speedway, Ripley's Old McDonald Golf. If you're an aviation buff, two things for you to take a look at. One is the Sky High Air Tours. We can go up in a biplane and tour the area. The other one is the Tennessee Museum of Aviation, which has the Warbird aircraft display, which is some great historical aircraft out there. If you're an adventure seeker or a thrill seeker, Foxfire Mountain, it's a 150-acre park. It's got some incredible zip lines. It's got some incredible hiking with some swinging bridges. It's a really neat area. And again, this is for your thrill seekers, so have fun at Foxfire Mountain. And then finally, if you really like animals, there's the Smoky Mountain Deer Farm and Exotic Petting Zoo. And they've got everything out there from deers to camels to zebras. They've also got riding stables, both for old and young. They have pony rides where mom and dad can lead little tykes on ponies. And then, of course, they also have larger horseback riding. Take a look at them. And again, those are some of the things you can do attraction-wise in Sevierville. Now, Sevierville also has its fair share of restaurants to go to. Applewood Farm Restaurant is one. As I mentioned, Courthouse Donuts, Crust and Crumb. There's a really neat 50s diner right on the parkway. Five Oaks Farm and Kitchen is fairly new. It is a big, beautiful farmhouse, so don't overlook the food. One of the places just off the parkway on the Dolly Parton Parkway is Holston's Kitchen, which is another outstanding restaurant to go to. On the Sevierville episode, we'll go a lot deeper into the restaurants in the area, but this is just an overview of what's out there. One of the things that I want to touch on that'll make your life a whole lot easier is how to get around while avoiding traffic. And Pigeon Forge traffic can be quite congested. So here's my recommendation. When you're coming into Sevierville, stay to the left. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a shopping center with Hobby Lobby, Goodwill, so on and so forth. There's going to be a fairly significant intersection coming up for 411 that splits off to the left. Turn left at that. You're going to go down just a little bit. It's going to hook back to the right. It's going to come to another stoplight. Don't necessarily worry about which lane you're in that stoplight because I believe all three lanes, or at least, I believe all three lanes give you the opportunity to turn left. You're going to turn left there, and that takes you onto Dolly Parton Parkway. That is 411. So travel down on Dolly Parton Parkway until you come to Veterans Boulevard. And if you turn right at Veterans Boulevard travels down. It passes right past Dollywood, and it'll dead end back into the original parkway. But you have just avoided probably 90% of Pigeon Forge traffic by going that route. So keep that in mind. So if you stayed straight and you didn't turn, and you now continue down the parkway into Pigeon Forge, referred to as the circus that came to town that never left, you're going to know instantly when you come into Pigeon Forge. Pigeon Forge is all about tourism and attractions. And the minute you come into town, you can't miss the upside-down building, which is Wonderworks, King Kong climbing the outside of the Wax Museum, the Titanic and the Titanic exhibit, and now the brand new National Enquirer attraction, which is a toppled building, and you actually enter through a large camera. One thing I will caution you about driving through Pigeon Forge is that it is very, very busy. There's a lot of people rubbernecking, looking at all the different attractions because it's one on top of the other on top of the other. So it's very easy to get distracted. Pigeon Forge is also 3 lanes wide in both directions, and it does have center turn lanes. That gives you an idea just how much traffic actually flows through this area. One thing you're going to notice about Pigeon Forge, and it has been described as Las Vegas without the casinos, is just the size of the attractions, the detail of the attractions. It's pretty fascinating to look at. And one thing I would recommend is everybody should go down the parkway at least once through Pigeon Forge. Even if you're just going to hike the Smokies, you want nothing to do with the towns, just to take a look at the architecture of the attractions, it's very, very neat. And I would also tell you to come back at night, because when they light up all these attractions, it is absolutely magnificent. Traveling down the parkway, you're going to notice that there are tons of hotels, tons of restaurants along the strip, tons of souvenir stands. And also what you're going to notice is that Pigeon Forge is home to most of the large dinner theater shows. The newest one this year is the Pirate's Voyage. It is a new dinner show experience. It is brought to you from the Dolly Parton Companies. Pirate's Voyage is located adjacent to the island. For those who remember Pirate Voyage and the building that it's in, it originally opened as Celebration, then it turned into Smoky Mountain Adventure, and that turned into the Lumberjack Adventure, and that then turned into the Lumberjack Feud, and now it has finally turned into Pirate's Voyage. So if you still desire to see Lumberjacks, they are still in Pigeon Forge. They moved from Dolly Parton to Paula Deen, and Paula Deen now has the Lumberjack Feud show, and that's just a little bit further down the road on the other side. Now, speaking of shows, Pigeon Forge has a lot of shows. Some of them dinner shows, some of them just strictly entertainment shows. As far as dinner shows go, Hatfield and McCoy's is extremely popular. Comedy Barn is popular. It doesn't have dinner, but it is still popular. The Smoky Mountain Opry, Dolly Parton Stampede, Biblical Times, the Great Smoky Mountain Murder Mystery Tour. Again, these are just some of the examples, and most of those do serve dinner along with them. I mentioned a little while back about the island. The island is an outdoor mall, but not like your typical outdoor mall. This one has some rides attached to it. It's got a lot of restaurants. Paula Deen's restaurant is there. Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville is there. Yeehaw Brewing is in there. And plenty more. The island is also home to the Margaritaville Island Hotel. So if you're looking for a place to stay and you're looking for Margaritaville type stuff, that's the place to go. So I talked about the attractions. As I mentioned, the town does have a lot of attractions. The ones that I mentioned when you came into town, Titanic, Hollywood Wax Museum, Wonderworks, National Enquirer Museum, those are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Pigeon Forge attractions. You've also got the very popular Alcatraz Crime Museum, Pigeon Forge Snow. If you are not from Chicago and snow actually appeals to you, we try to get away from it this time of the year, but if you really want to go snow tubing, you can go snow tubing year-round at Pigeon Forge Snow. There's a multitude of go-kart tracks, multiple miniature golf courses. In total, there are over 70 different attractions just in Pigeon Forge. And like I said, in an upcoming program, it'll be specifically on Pigeon Forge, and we'll take a much closer look into all of those different areas. Now, Pigeon Forge does have its fair share of restaurants also, and some of these are extremely good. One thing I wanted to mention, when I talk about restaurants, you're not going to hear me talking about places like the Cracker Barrel or Shoney's or TGI Fridays or any of those places. The area down here has a multitude of those. They have a lot. However, you know what you're going to get at TGI Fridays, you know what you're going to get at Shoney's, so on and so forth. So when I'm talking about restaurants, I would love for you to experience the wonderful multitude of restaurants that we have down here in this area that you're not going to get by going back home. Places like the Alamo Steakhouse, which is absolutely wonderful, or Bullfish Grill. Cookie Dough Monster is a wonderfully kind of offbeat, funky place that serves sandwiches. They have, I think I'm right on this number, they have 26 different types of grilled cheese sandwiches over there. You've got Mel's Classic Diner. You've got JT Hannah's Kitchen. As far as breakfast places to go, I absolutely love Smokies Pancake Cabin. They have a pineapple upside down pineapple upside down pancake that is just out of this world. And again, Paula Deen's Family Kitchen. So there's a multitude of different places for you to eat down here off the regular fare of where you go for dinner. So something different for you. So as I said, now you're going to be exiting Pigeon Forge. You're going to be heading south again on the Parkway. And this is when you're going to be entering, as I mentioned, the beautiful swath of forest. And this is the spur. The Little Pigeon River will be running down the middle. And this is an absolute beautiful drive. Before entering Gatlinburg, you're going to come to the National Park Welcome Center. This is a smaller version of the Welcome Center. The large main Welcome Center is referred to as Sugarlands, and that is at the actual entrance to the national park. The Pigeon Forge Welcome Center does have a lot of great park information, so it's a good place to stop. It's typically not as crowded as Sugarlands, so if you're looking for any kind of specific hiking information, that kind of thing, it's a good place to stop. They have a nice little gift shop that goes along with it and a few exhibits. So it's a really nice stop before you get into Gatlinburg or before you head out onto the park. As you exit the Welcome Center, over on the right-hand side, now is where you're going to be coming to what I referred to before as the bypass. The bypass is going to split off on the right, and like I said, it is going to completely bypass Gatlinburg and all the Gatlinburg traffic and pedestrians. One thing I'm going to encourage you on the bypass is take your time. However, there's a lot of people who use the bypass to get to work or so on and so forth. Don't let people ride your back bumper for great periods of time. What I really encourage you to do is there are plenty of pull-offs. Just pull off and let them go by. Don't let them race you down the Gatlinburg bypass. Take your time. Enjoy the sights. There are a few scenic pull-offs for you to take pictures of. Overviews of the mountains, overviews of Gatlinburg. It's a really, really, really pretty drive going on the bypass. But again, don't hold up traffic behind you. As I said, there are plenty of places to pull off. After all, you're on vacation. You're not in a hurry, but people behind you may be. Okay, if you stayed on the parkway, now you're heading into Gatlinburg itself. Suddenly you're going to notice that the speed drops to 25 miles an hour. Unlike Pigeon Forge, you do not have this big expanse of space. Gatlinburg is much more compact. It's only 2 lanes in each direction. You're going to notice that there are no parking lots in front of all your attractions or all your restaurants. That's one big difference between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Pigeon Forge, there is plenty of parking wherever you go. Gatlinburg, not so much. My recommendation to you is to ditch your car. You can walk to most places, or Gatlinburg has a wonderful trolley system. The trolley only costs $2 a day, and you can board the trolley at over 100 different locations in Gatlinburg. The only exceptions are the tan route and the pink route. The tan route goes directly to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and the pink route goes directly to Dollywood. So keep that in mind when you're boarding at the Gatlinburg Transportation Center. Now, parking your car. As I said, there are plenty of parking lots and garages around Gatlinburg. There is some free parking, but it goes really fast and it goes really early in the day. So here's my recommendation. When you come into Gatlinburg, stay to the right. The road is going to fork off over by the aquarium. You're going to notice the biggest attraction right there on that corner is Old Red, which is Blake Shelton's new restaurant. Right across the street is Anarchista, but right on that corner is also the aquarium. This is River Road. Now, there is free parking all along River Road, and it is running fairly parallel to the parkway. A lot of the restaurants and attractions are built in between River Road and the parkway. But there are a lot of parking lots along this route. A lot of these parking lots are lower cost than what you're going to find up on the parkway, and they're also much easier to get into and out of, especially if you want to head back north to Pigeon Forge, depending on where you parked. Keep that in mind when you're parking your car, that River Road is a great alternative for you. Okay, now that you parked your car, there's a ton to do and see in Gatlinburg. As far as the major attractions, Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies is an outstanding attraction. Don't let the name fool you. Originally, when I came down here, I'm from Chicago, so I think the Shedd Aquarium is the most wonderful aquarium on the planet, and me being snobby me, city slicker, I thought that just because the Ripley's name was attached to the aquarium, that this was going to be, a cheap touristy type thing. It's not. It's not by any stretch of the imagination. I can see why this has won the award for the #1 aquarium in the country. It's a wonderful aquarium. Is it as huge as as a lot of other aquariums? No. Is it worth every penny you're going to pay to go into the aquarium? Absolutely. We had an absolute ball in the aquarium. Floor-to-ceiling tanks. It's got this motorized walkway that takes you through it at an easy pace. You can step off it at any time to see anything you want in the tanks. You can pet stingrays. When I was there, we were allowed to pet jellyfish. It's just an absolute outstanding attraction. So please don't overlook Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. Other places, as far as being popular right now, probably the one that's gotten the most media attention is the new Sky Bridge in Gatlinburg. It's part of Skylift Park. You take the gondola up to the top, and then you have the largest pedestrian bridge, swinging pedestrian bridge in the eastern United States. One thing I'm going to recommend is do not go for the moonshine tasting over at Sugarland Shine, which is just across the street from the Sky Bridge entrance. That Sky Bridge, when you go up there, that thing moves, it sways, it bounces. Not a lot, but enough where it would be a little unsteady for some people. And some people are kind of nervous when they go out on it, and you can actually see it in their eyes as you're walking on the Sky Bridge. When you get out towards the middle, there are 3 glass panels at the highest point looking down. What a wonderful place to stop and take pictures. It's a great overview look of Gatlinburg, just absolutely spectacular. Now, some people might be put off by the price of the Sky Bridge, because I think it's right around $22 per person to go up there. But keep in mind, the wristband is good all day. So when I went up there with my wife, we went up there in the morning, and then we came back later in the day, and we went up there and we sat and we watched the sunset up there from the Sky Bridge and the Sky Deck area that they have up there. They have a number of rocking chairs sitting up there, so you can just sit back, kick back, and relax and just watch the sun go down over the Smokies. Absolutely beautiful. Along a similar note is Anakeesta. Anakeesta is, again, another mountaintop park. They have restaurants, shops, they have ropes courses, zip lines, they have a mountain rail coaster. There's a lot to do up at Anakeesta, so don't overlook that either. Ripley's, believe it or not, Auditorium Museum. There is also Uber Gatlinburg. There is Ripley's Haunted House Adventure, if you want to have the snot scared out of you. Hollywood Star Car Museum. And then, of course, Cooters. Don't miss Cooters. So if you like musical comedy also, there is the Sweet Fanny Adams Theater downtown also. It's not a dinner theater, it's just a comedy show theater, but they've been doing comedy shows there for, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 35 years. So if you like that type of slapstick humor, Sweet Fanny Adams Theater is for you. One other area that I want to touch on is the arts and crafts community in Gatlinburg. As you go through Gatlinburg, you would take 321, which is stoplight number 3, if I am correct, and you're going to take that down to Glades Road. Glades Road is referred to as the arts and crafts community. A lot of people just call it Glades Road. They won't say arts and crafts community. But it's a loop road out there, and there's a number of different wildly talented craftsmen and artists out in that area. There's also another Crust and Crumb, so if you want that chocolate eclair, this is your opportunity number 2, is to hit Crust and Crumb out there in the Glades. But the arts and crafts community is just a wonderful little area, great little restaurants. There's an old English pub out there. There's a tea room out there, but just a wonderful, wonderful area. So please don't miss the arts and crafts community. Now, as far as restaurants go in Gatlinburg, Gatlinburg does have its fair share of really, really, really good restaurants. Once again, Alamo Steakhouse is down in Gatlinburg. By the way, if you go to Alamo, I love steak, and I highly recommend having what Alamo refers to as the steak. Can't go wrong with that. But Gatlinburg also, as far as breakfast goes, has several of the best places to go for breakfast or pancakes, flat out anywhere in the area, the country, so on and so forth. The most popular right now is Crockett's 1875 Breakfast Camp. The facility is decorated in such detail, it's almost mind-boggling. The food is excellent. It's fast. My recommendation to you, though, is get there early because lines do form. So this is not one of those where you're going to get up, meander, and then go to breakfast around 10 o'clock. If you're going to do that, you're going to stand in line. I don't care what day of the week it is that popular of a restaurant, and it's that good of a restaurant. It justifies the line. But if you're going to go to Crockett's, go early. The other one is what I like to think of as the Dame Judi Dench of breakfast establishments, and that would be the Pancake Pantry. They have the claim that they are the first pancake house that opened in the state of Tennessee. They do have quite a following in Gatlinburg, and again, lines do form at the Pancake Pantry, but they have a wonderful menu, outstanding pancakes. As I recall, definitely more than I could finish with the servings, so the serving sizes are large, but highly, highly recommended. Then number 3, as far as my favorites list, is the Log Cabin Pancake House. You can't miss it. It's over on the Historic Nature Trail, which I believe is stoplight number 8. It's got a covered wagon kind of sticking out of the roof and the facade of the building. It's maybe not as fancy as the other two, but oh my gosh, the pancakes are absolutely outstanding. My wife doesn't even open a menu. It's blueberry pancakes, side order, their sausage, because their sausage is great also, so don't miss out on that. That's at the Log Cabin Pancake House, and it is absolutely wonderful. My next recommendation, of course, would be the Atrium. The Atrium has one of the most unique pancakes I have ever had. It is called the Baked Apple Pancake, and it is about the size of one sheet of if you're going to make a chocolate layer cake, it's like one size of that layer cake. It is the absolute size of a dinner plate. They serve that up with the homemade apple syrup. Oh my gosh, what a breakfast that is. Okay, I'm getting myself hungry here for breakfast, but let me move on. A couple other places to hit. Obviously, Old Red. That is the Blake Shelton restaurant. That's garnered a whole lot of attention. If you're going out for dinner, the Peddler Steakhouse is absolutely fantastic. You're going to select your steak right at the table. It's absolutely wonderful. Crystal Creek is another wonderful out-of-the-way restaurant. Kind of nestled back, again, that is off of the East Parkway, which is stoplight number 3. Down near the arts and crafts community. It's down in that area, but Crystal Creek is just a wonderful place for dinner. Don't miss dessert. They have something there called a hummingbird cake that is absolutely out of this world. Smoky Mountain Brewing, if you like bar fare, pizza, and beer, that's another place to go. So as I said, we're going to take a much deeper dive into Gatlinburg in an upcoming episode, but that gives you just an overview of some really great places to go eat while you're staying in Gatlinburg. Okay, finally we get to the park, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It is surprising to me how many people come down here just for the attractions and never venture into the park. We've actually talked to people about the park and they go, "Park? What park?" Believe it or not, I mean, it's not to be missed. It's the crown jewel of the area. I do recommend stopping at the Sugarlands Visitor Center if you did not stop at the Gatlinburg Visitor Center, mostly to ask the rangers about any kind of hazards you need to be aware of. Road closures, flooded trails, aggressive bears, yes, they do exist. Any type of tourist information or anything you need to be aware of, it's just a good idea to check in at a park office first before you head into the park, just to find out what those are. Now, as far as heading into the park, the most popular area, obviously, in the Smoky Mountains is Cades Cove. Now, some caveats about Cades Cove. Is it beautiful? Yes. Is it a valley? Yes. It is a single-lane road. It goes one direction. Unless you really like sitting in traffic, slow-moving traffic, and things that'll drive you crazy, like people parking their car in the middle of the road, getting out to take a picture of a wild turkey, and yes, that does happen, I would highly encourage you to visit Cades Cove either early in the morning or late in the day. And typically those two times is when the bears are most active, and that's what a lot of people want to see by going to Cades Cove is the wildlife. They do have some historical settlements in there, and again, we'll get into that much deeper in an upcoming episode. But my recommendation to you is this would not be a good idea to get up, have your long leisurely breakfast at the Pancake Pantry, and then head over to Cades Cove, because you will be spending a good part of your day sitting in the car. One thing I do recommend is if you're going to head out to Cades Cove, take the Foothills Parkway. Head back towards Pigeon Forge. Once you get into Pigeon Forge, look for stoplight number 3. That's Wares Valley Road. Head out on Wares Valley Road. You're going to go out a few miles. You're going to go past the Goats on the Roof roller coaster and area. You're going to see an entrance to the Foothills Parkway. Foothills Parkway opened last, I want to say October. So October of 2018. It is just absolutely beautiful as a drive. Now, the main drive in the park itself to get to Cades Cove, it's a wonderful drive too. It parallels the river, it twists, it turns, but don't overlook taking the parkway if you're going to go to Cades Cove. Either take the Foothills Parkway going out or make sure you take the Foothills Parkway coming back. You won't regret it. It is absolutely beautiful. So now you're in the national park and you're not going to go to Cades Cove. You want to go visit some other things. The other popular areas that are within the park, if you're going to do a little bit of hiking, Laurel Falls. It's not too far away from the Sugarlands Visitor Center. It's a wonderful hike. It's probably the most traveled hike and the most viewed falls seen in the national park. Many people pose in front of the waterfall. It's an iconic picture. I have a picture of my mom standing in front of the waterfalls from their honeymoon, and I have a similar picture and pose of me and my wife taken just last year. So it's really kind of neat. It's the iconic photo of the Smokies of people standing in front of a waterfall. Another popular fall to hike to is Grotto Falls. The lure of Grotto Falls is it's one of the few waterfalls you can actually walk behind. So it does get a lot of hiker traffic over there. Again, beautiful hike, beautiful falls. Well worth the effort going to see Grotto Falls. Now, the next few areas you can drive to. You don't have to hike to. The first one is Newfound Gap. It is pretty much right in the middle of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. As you enter the park on the Parkway 441, just keep going straight on it. It's going to go into the Smoky Mountains. It's going to take you all the way up to the top, and it's going to be an absolutely spectacular pullover point. It's the place where President Roosevelt dedicated the national park. There's a couple of pull-offs up there, but just absolutely breathtaking views depending on the day. If it's clear, if it's cloudy up there, I'm sorry. Just great views from Newfound Gap. Now, from Newfound Gap, you can head over towards Clingman's Dome. Clingman's Dome is the highest point in the Smoky Mountains. On top of Clingman's Dome is a wonderful observation deck. So you can drive to the parking lot, and then you're going to start a hike up to the observation deck at Clingman's Dome. It drives me crazy when people think that the observation deck is actually Clingman's Dome. No, the dome is the top of the mountain. Just like you have Half Dome out in Yosemite, you have Clingman's Dome here in the Smoky Mountains. So please keep those things straight. But that's just me. Anyway, the observation deck, it is a fairly steep hike up to the observation deck. They didn't put park benches every 1/10 of a mile just for the sake of putting a park bench there. You will probably get very winded hiking up to Clingman's Dome to the observation deck. I don't advise wearing flip-flops on this hike. I definitely advise at least wearing gym shoes. The going up is one thing, but the coming down is something completely different. So make sure you wear the right footwear. Now, this is not a hiking trail. This is a concrete trail. It is paved, but it is very, very, very steep. Keep that in mind. And again, with Clingman's Dome, your view really depends on the day. It's hit or miss, whether it's clear or cloudy up there. As I said, it's the highest point. And the Smoky Mountains do get a lot of rain, so you never know when the clouds are going to be moving in. Consider yourself warned, but when you get up there, it is a beautiful view from Clingman's Dome. Now, if you're looking for a little more passive hike, a little more flat hike, there's a visitor center on the other end of the Smokies down near Cherokee. And I always mispronounce this, so please, this is my outsider side of me talking. Okanalufty Visitor Center on the other side of the park. There is the Mountain Farm Museum that's attached to that visitor center, and there's the Okanalufty hiking trail that hikes along the side of it. It's very, very flat, hikes along the side of a river. But the Mountain Farm Museum is a grouping of historical buildings. You get an idea for how a historical farm worked back in the day. Very, very well maintained, very, very beautiful. And that section of the park, if you want to see elk, there are large grazing pastures where the elk tend to congregate right along the road. So again, if you're lucky on one of those days when those are there, absolutely spectacular. The final thing that I want you to not miss when you're in the Smoky Mountains, and again, you're going to be doing this by car, is the Roaring Forks Motor Trail. You don't want to miss this. It is a really, really, really beautiful drive through the national park. Starts at stoplight number 8. That's the Historic Nature Trail Road. Just stay on that, and you're going to see it go into the park. You're going to drive a ways into the park, and it's still a 2-lane road, but then you're going to see the signs for the Roaring Forks Motor Trail. And again, like Cades Cove, this is a 1-lane road. It's very, very, very twisty-turny, unlike what you encounter in Cades Cove. Lots and lots of pull-offs for scenic views and overviews. There's also a lot of different trailheads that branch off the Roaring Forks Motor Trail. Things like Grotto Falls branches off of the Roaring Forks Motor Trail. So be aware of that. There is a lot of traffic, and again, there are historical buildings along the way, but very close to the end of the Roaring Forks Motor Trail is what's called Place of 1,000 Drips. I encourage you to look for this because a lot of people drive right by it, they miss it. So pull off, get out of your car, and just walk up and take a look at this Place of 1,000 Drifts. If you're lucky and it just rained and there's a lot of water coming off it, it's very, very interesting. It's very, very beautiful. It's absolutely fascinating to stand there and watch. I love looking at it every time I go up there. And again, that's a Place of 1,000 Drips. Heading out further, so heading out onto the other end of the Smokies is Cherokee and Bryson City. Cherokee is a wonderful little area, and they do have some attractions out there, maybe not the size and the scope of what you're going to see in Pigeon Forge, but they do have some interesting things to see. There's the Museum of the Cherokee Indian. There's the Okanalufty Indian Village. There is Unto These Hills, which is an outdoor drama program under the stars at night. This has been going on forever and it's been highly acclaimed for years and years and years. There's the Quala Arts and Crafts area. There is Mingo Falls that you don't want to miss. And then finally, there is Harrah's Casino. For everybody who's been looking for that missing casino in Pigeon Forge, just because they put it over in Cherokee. Now, Bryson City, which is also on the other side, is home to the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad. They have two types of trains that run out of there. They have a steam train and a diesel train, I believe, that are both running. These book up well in advance, so make sure if you want to ride the railroad, go online, book your tickets before you come down for your visit because it's extremely popular. They do have some different theme rides throughout the year, so you might want to look into that also. And there is also, to go along with the Great Smoky Mountain Railroad, is the Smoky Mountains Railroad Museum. Now, it is not full-size trains. It is Lionel trains and miniature train sets. But, again, a fascinating place to go. Great little side attraction. And what a great way to end your day if you went on the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad. Bryson City is also home to 3 waterfalls. And there are 3 fairly tame waterfalls to get to. There's Tom's Branch, Judy Wank, and then Indian Creek Falls. They're all kind of very close together, so it's a nice little walk. And again, it's very tame as compared to a lot of the other waterfalls you'll go see. Again, a nice little waterfall area. So, there you have it. That's kind of I hate to say the 30,000-foot view, but that's a view of the 3 cities on the north, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, of course, the national park itself, and then Cherokee and Bryson City. As I said, on upcoming episodes, we're going to go into a much closer look at each one of these areas, a lot more detail as far as where to go, what to eat, things to do. So, until then, I want to thank you for listening. Again, my name is Chuck Schmidt. I hope you enjoy the program. Thank you. An Outsider's Guide to the Smoky Mountains was brought to you by Dancing Barefoot Cabin. If you're looking for a log cabin lodging experience beyond the ordinary, then Dancing Barefoot Cabin is for you. Conveniently located in between Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Explore the possibilities at dancingbarefoot.com. That's dancingbarefoot, BEARFOOT.com. Pizza Bear illustration by Kenton Visser. Music by Jay Denton.